where the walls fall apart. My name is Claire, and I still don't understand the exact moment when the past finally caught up to me. Not my past, but my father's. Maybe it happened the moment I first saw Alejandro standing in the doorway of the cafe, when my heart, naive, trusting, decided it had the right to choose someone for itself. Or maybe it began long before that, on the day I was born into a house where love was measured by achievements, and safety by the number of closed cases. Our house was always quiet. Too quiet. As a child, I thought silence meant peace, maturity, importance. My father came home late, and when he did, his words were short, sometimes proud, sometimes tired, but most often just cold analysis of everything I did. You need to understand that you can't afford mistakes, he would tell me. Mistakes made by my children cast a shadow on my name. And I really tried not to make any mistakes. Until one summer, I was 23 when I decided to get a summer job. My father tried to forbid it. Said we had plenty of money, so why would I want to serve coffee to strangers? Because I want to be myself, I told him for the first time. He looked at me as if I had announced I was moving to the desert. But I went to work anyway, despite his irritated silence. The cafe was simple, with an old wooden floor that creaked with every step. The air always smelled of something warm. Fresh croissants, hot milk, powdered sugar. Soft music played, and most customers came for the quiet you couldn't buy anywhere else. There, no one knew me as the prosecutor's daughter. I was just Claire, a girl in a black apron, pouring coffee and smiling at strangers. And one evening, he walked in. Alejandro. He looked as though he came from another world. A faded shirt, hands marked with small scars, dark eyes like nights without a moon. He sat by the window and stared at the sea as if he could see something beyond the horizon. I approached him. "What can I get you?" He lifted his head, and his gaze seemed to pass right through me. "Coffee. Black. No sugar." Such a simple order, yet it sounded as if he were saying the word truth. When I brought the cup, he smiled. Not brightly, not dramatically, just a warm, quiet smile, as if he was thanking me not only for the coffee, but for existing. That was how it all began. He came in every day. Sometimes he took the window seat, sometimes a corner table when the cafe was crowded. At first we talked only about small things, weather, work, the noisy sea that summer. Then gradually about life. "It's hard for me to talk about my past," he admitted once. "But with you, I don't know. I feel freer." Back then, I didn't understand how ironic the word freer was coming from a man who once knew the inside of a prison. I learned about his time in prison from him, about a month after meeting. "A mistake," he said. "I ended up in the wrong place with the wrong people. When you're not from here, there's nobody to stand up for you." He looked away. I don't want it to define my life. I believed him. I always believed people too quickly. What I didn't know was that my father had prosecuted him. That he had waited, watched, planned. I fell in love, the way you fall only once, and usually wrongly. Completely. Painfully. Hopefully. Alejandro knew how to listen. How to say the right words. How to touch me in a way that made the whole world shrink to the size of a single breath. He called me "My Luz," my light. He introduced me to his friends, loud, laughing, messy, poor but alive. They played guitar, drank cheap beer, danced on the sand. For the first time in my life I felt part of something real. My father didn't know. I didn't tell him, because for the first time, I had something that belonged only to me. It started small. I need to register a small business under a trustworthy name, he told me. I can't do it myself. I don't have all the documents yet. But you can help. Just temporarily. I laughed. Me? A business owner? You're joking. He took my hands gently. Claire, I wouldn't ask if I had another choice. You're the only person I trust. How could I refuse trust with anything but trust? The papers looked official, harmless. I signed. Then came more documents, to confirm ownership. Then a few more signatures. I didn't even notice when I signed the power of attorney for my house. The house my mother left me before she died when I was 10. I thought everything was under control. I was wrong. I came home late after a night shift. It was chilly. Clouds gathered over the sea like bruises in the sky. I walked up to the gate, and froze. The lock had been replaced. New. Shiny. Not mine. At first I thought there must be a misunderstanding. I rang the doorbell. A woman in a floral robe opened the door. She looked surprised. What are you doing here? This is my house, I said. Or, it should be. She frowned. No, I bought this house a week ago. A week. 2 days before Alejandro and I made plans for the weekend. My phone shook in my hand as I called my father. He answered an hour later. Claire, his voice was heavy. Did you sign a power of attorney for your property? Dad, I didn't understand. You're an adult. You're responsible for your decisions. For the first time, he spoke to me as if I were a stranger. Can you help me? He tricked me. You allowed yourself to be tricked. I won't interfere. The law will take its course. And he hung up. My father, who had sent dozens of people to prison, refused to protect his own daughter. I stood outside with my phone in my hand. And a void inside me. Alejandro vanished. I went to all the places we used to visit. Called his friends. They shrugged, lied, avoided my eyes. One woman smirked. Sweetheart, you really thought you were the only one? He partied hard once he got money. Friends, girls, anyone who wanted a good time. The house was sold quickly, too quickly. The paperwork went through perfectly. He had all my signatures. My bank accounts were nearly empty. My life, completely. At first I stayed with a friend, but her parents disapproved. Then I rented a tiny room above a bakery, barely big enough for a bed. Every morning I woke to the smell of warm bread drifting through the window. I worked more, double shifts. Assistant baker, waitress, cleaner. I didn't write to my father. He didn't write to me. Whenever I heard someone laugh the way he laughed, or saw a silhouette that resembled him, something pierced my chest. I lived in fear of someday seeing him walking down the street, happy, carefree, living off what used to be my home, my money, my future. Some nights I cried. Some nights I wished I could rewind life. Some nights I hated myself for being so blind. But one morning, as I opened the window and smelled cinnamon and fresh bread drifting up from below, I suddenly realized, I'm still here. I can still rebuild. I'm not just a victim. I didn't return to my father. I didn't want to live under someone else's shadow again. I didn't look for Alejandro. Revenge only builds new ruins. I decided that one day, this scar would be just a part of my story, not the center of it. Now I'm learning to trust again. Starting with myself. I'm starting from zero, but for the first time, this zero belongs only to me.